Hi you guys, Jessie Lucas here, back with another installment on embodied movement. So in this video series, we've been talking about what is embodied movement and how do you create body practices that help you feel like your best self, that help you kind of cleanse and clear the gunk in your system, reduce the stress and strain and pain, and really uplift your posture, uplift your energy, and really experience your vibrant, empowered health. So we've been talking about some of the kind of underlying approaches to being present in your body, the embodied part. So now we're going to let the rubber meet the road and talk about the movement part. So now that you've got some resources of how to be present in your body, how do you move it? You've probably had the advice at some point, someone telling you, we'll find something you love. That's okay. You know, that works somewhat. Obviously, I don't want you going out there like grueling, being miserable through something. But that advice only goes so far. Like, you know, what if you keep trying things and you don't love it, or you love it, but you still can't find the time or make yourself do it? So how do you create body practices that give you this empowered health? There are so many ways to do this. So I'm going to do my best to kind of break down the nuts and bolts. And honestly, this is what I love helping people with. So if this is something you're interested in, please visit jessielucas.com. There's a work with me section, or find my contact on the website and send me an email and we can have a further conversation there. So for the most part, like one of the most general ways that I like to tell people how you start creating these body practices that work for you, you have to look at kind of the blueprint of your daily life. What is, you know, your morning to night situation? We all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? And so we all get to manage it. And so part of it is going to be kind of, you know, noticing what you have to work with, and part of it is going to be the shifting and the melding and finding the space. So for me personally, I currently am not in a structured situation. Like, I don't wake up an hour early to do my hour-long yoga practice. I like to personally fit things in when they fit in. Now that takes a commitment for me, because without that structure, I have to make sure at some point any day it fits. The benefit to that is it's creative, and depending on the weather, or depending on my timing, or depending on my energy, I get to kind of pick and choose. The one way that that works best is if you have a library of movement that works for you. So for me, like, I have my background in yoga, I have some strength training in there, I love having my own personal dance parties to get my cardio in. So if you're gonna have that kind of more creative approach and fit things in, whether you have 2 minutes or 5 minutes or half an hour or an hour and a half, you have to have a library, kind of a pool of things to choose from, so that when it's time to move, you don't spend a ton of time figuring it out and getting caught in mental loops. You can just get moving. And the other kind of general way that works for some people, and has worked for me at other times in my life, is that you have a steady structure. Now, this worked for me when I was working in a gym and I was more in a steady rhythm with that. So if it works for you to know that at this time, in this place, and in this way, and you have your clothes and you have the support, that's totally fine. Sometimes that structure allows you to set everything else aside and get moving. So those are two categories, and I'm gonna later fill you in on more details of how to really craft and create those, but that's really an individual process, and that's a part that really does benefit from some individual support there if you're having trouble on your own. But some of the things to keep in mind are covering your bases. You want to work out the most important muscle of your body, your heart. So that means something getting your heart rate up. And there's lots of recommendations on how long and to what intensity. And again, that's something that you could get some personal support on. One of the most, the easiest ways to look at that is your breath. How difficult is it to breathe? And if you're starting to not be able to talk or having to catch your breath, right, that means your heart rate's going up. So I like to do that on most days. Like I said, for me, usually like a personal dance party, or I'll show you my hill here. This is my hill. I'm in the swing set here. Walking and running up and down that hill. So finding a way to get your heart rate up. Strength. I personally love body weight stuff. No equipment necessary, not a whole lot of space required, and things like planks and push-ups and finding things to hang on and pull. And this is where I love using my environment wherever I am. It could be a hotel room, it could be a playground, it could be your kitchen chairs. There are so many ways to find exercise equipment in your environment. And then you want to make sure you open up and stretch out. And this is really my favorite. This is the yogi in me. Overstretching, not great, right? It's like a rubber band. When you stretch out a rubber band too much and it loses its elasticity. So you want to stretch, but you want to stretch in ways that elongate. You want to stretch from the middle of the muscle out. And one of the things that I love about stretching is it allows you to kind of take up all the space that you are, rather than compressing yourself and squishing yourself into this being, and you're shrinking. Anyway, those are some of the basics. It's kind of like choose your own adventure. So my challenge to you right now is to start just kind of teasing some of those out and notice, what are the areas that feel easier for you? What are the areas that feel more challenging for you? Where do you need some help and support? What can you kind of just let go and say it's not important right now? And what can you prioritize? And like I said at the beginning, kind of, if you haven't made space already, make some space because it's important to you. This is about you feeling more like yourself. So sometimes it does take a little bit of effort, a little bit of intention, and a little bit of craftiness to make it happen. And you know what? That decision-making process is part of the strengthening and the empowerment and the joyful responsibility. All right, let me know what your ideas are. Comment below. Mwah. See you later.